454 00744. Signed, Management.
Very beautiful evening to you. You're welcome to another exciting edition of Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and my name is Kingsley Mano. Very happy to be back here to bring you up to speed with the latest revolving round the beautiful world of sports evening. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Niger Delta games. Team Edo continue their lead on the medals table, and of course it's really getting very interesting down there in Edo State. We'll also bring you the latest from the UEFA Champions League. Bodo Glimt, of course, they are the team of the moment, putting up some high level of performance we saw yesterday. We'll take a look at all of that, as well as some other interesting issues revolving around the beautiful water sport. Promises to be another exciting edition of the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break. You're welcome back, Steve Sport Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. Today's edition of the show promises to be, of course, an exciting one, as I have with me two gentlemen who are ready, of course, some of the issues we have on our menu this evening. Ekpo Temple is here. Temple, good evening to you and welcome to the show.
It's always a delight to talk sports on a Wednesday evening.
And it's been a long time. We have Dr. Lepi once again. He's back in the studio with us. Doc, good evening to you and welcome to the show once again.
Good evening, Mike, and good evening to our viewers.
All right, let's quickly take a look at the Niger Delta games. As of course, not a good one so far, especially for some states. But the likes of Delta State, keep putting something very huge. But for Team Rivers, this time around, they couldn't put up a very in the basketball event, as they lost this time to Edo State. It ended 30-20 in that particular one, and they couldn't, of course, clinch the gold medal, the one last time in basketball. A lot of setback, for Team Rivers, Tempo at the ongoing Niger Delta games. And at this point in time, we actually thought maybe at this stage we should be seeing Team Rivers maybe in third position, but they are somewhere fifth in our assistance. What do you make of the struggle for Team Rivers this time around at the Niger Delta games?
I don't understand pessimistic, but I think that we have not done so well in the last 1 decade when it comes to sports development in the state. We have been very selective of the nature of sports we want to develop. As such, the multifaceted nature of sports hasn't been developed in River State, and that's why the last time we did something glorious was when we hosted the National Sports Festival back then in Uniport. Since then, we haven't achieved anything. When it comes out in 2014, we haven't achieved anything in this decade. Away from that, I think that, yes, a lot of people will attribute it to instability, but I don't agree. The reason is simple. If there is one priority of previous government, and this government is funding sports, and that is why the machineries who engineers or decided or decides how these fundings will be utilized. And then because they have a special priority on certain sports, the funding is limited to those areas of sports. And that is why we are bereaved of talent, talent development, because not talent, we have talent, abundant talent, human resource to also manage this talent, discover them and enhance them. But we do not have proper desire to groom this talent. And that has been the challenge. And so you cannot wake up in a day and then say you want to go to a sports program like this one, and then you want to challenge with the big boys. Now, you recall 3 years ago or 2 years ago, the National Youth Games, we never participated. Not because we do not have talent, but because the state government deliberately decided not to participate because they wanted to host their own. So if you put together all the even the National Sports Festival last year, we didn't. We came out about 5th. We were not in the top 3 as we used to be. So there is massive decline in terms of sports at that level. So apart from football, which these days everyone go for these tournaments, we don't even get to win the football category of those events. So that tells you that we have really declined. Basketball, that used to be our stronghold, this year it was very obvious that winning basketball, so that I can attribute it to anything, lack of focus and all that, but we have declined because how many basketball courts in the university is working? Apart from in Niger streets, go back and ask yourself, how many tournaments do we host? So whenever it comes to sports, a program like this one, where a chunk of money will be distributed across these 9 states or thereabout, and they prepare short-term preparations. Just because of the tournament, you assemble them at the sports performance center in Uniport, and then you want to get medals. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So if you ask me why River State is not doing well, I will tell you they will not do well because we have failed to start from scratch. We have failed to rekindle the spirit of where we're coming from. Now check out the states that are doing well. National Youth Games, because they had a commission that was commissioned to empower sports, and they did so And they continued, they dominated to the extent that 13 categories of the swimming event at the National Youth Games was won by them, claimed by them. They translated that feat to the National Sports Festival, where we saw conspicuous performance that is worthy of emulation from Lagos State, and that was another glorious moment. Better said before now, it was well funded, and we saw them, even if the pouch outlets from left, right, center, but we saw intentional growth in sports. Recently, there is decline. They sacked all of those persons, brought in new set of people, and as speaking right now, they are competing highly with Edo State. Edo State, Desmond Enebule, the man who is in charge of the Sport Commission, just came in recently, and he has changed the narrative of how things should be done. Even if there is this still win at all cost syndrome in them, but clearly they are showing that when it comes to this tournament, we want to show effort, we want to show strength. Last year it was Bayelsa State competing at Uvo, pushing them so hard. Delta State won, no doubt, but those states have come out to say, okay, let's reclaim back what is ours. So when you look at the margin, and then Bayelsa State, obviously, if there's any South State in recent time that have been very intentional about all-round development of sports, is Bayelsa State. In all ramification, we saw what the Gary have been doing in the last 2 years, and you can look at the ascendancy in sports. So all of this point to one thing: if Rivers State want to win, come back to its winning ways. It will not set my LOC. Why use those LOC to compensate political compensation? That's what we're doing here. We're doing more sport promotion. We are not developing anything in Rivers State. That is unfortunate, because the generations that should enjoy this growth are declining, and they are fading away. A generation that should have to represent Nigeria at that top level, they're no longer there because attention is not given, funding is not given, and then we want to go win medals. It doesn't come that way. And this time around, because every state wants to win medals, if you're not adequately prepared, you can't win medals. Even Akwa Ibom State, they're even well prepared than us. They are topping. They have 6 gold medals. It's a shame that till now we are still grumbling to win 3 gold in the tournament like the Niger Delta State, where we should be the heart of the Niger Delta State. Even if Delta State is a big heart, we should be the heart of the Niger Delta State. So look at, so it boils down to one thing: we are promoting sports rather than developing sports in River State.
All right, a very big issue at this point in time. Team Rivers not getting it right at the Niger Delta Games. They are currently 5th on the medals table, and it looks like something that will be difficult for them, maybe to get down to the 2nd position at this point in time. But Doc, what's the way forward, from what we're seeing at this point?
I think the state government has about sports in this part of the world. Sports is solely left in the government, so it becomes an issue. For the past 2 decades now, sports management has been in the hands of just 2 individuals in Rivers State. It revolves around 2 individuals, which is not the best thing to do. I think the government need to see how they set up the commission and see how the commission can come up with what the issues are and what needs to be done. You don't just set up a commission and you bring in the old hands. Set up a commission. You can have a commissioner as a politician, you can have a permanent secretary, you can have anybody, but the commission should be made of experts who look at the level of sports development in River State and see how they can bridge the gap between where we are now and where we're supposed to be. Now, I'll give you an example. When they hosted the National Sports Festival in 2014, the stadium they used, that's the main stadium they used, that's the Adoki Amesi Maka Stadium, was not complete. If you go there now, you see that most of the facilities are done halfway. So you cannot talk about sports development when you don't have the needed facilities. So we need to look at facility management. So we need to bring in technocrats, those who are ready to work, not politicians. Sports is not for politicians. Sports are meant for those who love the game, who do it because of the passion they have for the game. So I believe we should leave the era of leaving sports in the hands of 2 men and expecting a better result. When two people manage sports over a long time, it becomes boring, especially when they are not doing the right thing. But if they are doing the right thing, they will understand that, oh, this area we are going is not the right way. They will see how they seek help of those who are more knowledgeable in the area of sports to help them achieve what the state is supposed to achieve. I think the River State government should adopt what other states like Delta State is doing. We should have a sports commission that will sit down and look at the problems and look for a way out of the problem. This is one way that we can get out of it.
All right, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. We understand that, of course, we still have about 3 days to the end of the Niger Delta Games. Can Team Rivers, continue to push maybe down to the third position at the end of the day? But Edo States continue to lead at the Niger Delta Games. Of course, you will see massive preparation for Edo State. That's why they are dominating at this point in time. But away from the Niger Delta Games, let's talk football right here in Nigeria. As the Nigerian Professional Football League has dropped to 91 position in the latest global league rankings released by the International Federation of Football History and Statistics, sliding 15 places from its 76th place finish in 2024. Now, according to the 2025 rankings, the MPFL accumulated 171.75 points, placing it outside the world top 90 domestic leagues. The decline reflects a downturn in the league's comparative strengths amid intensifying competition from other football markets worldwide. Now, the body ranking system evaluates leagues based on club performances in continental and international competition, applying weighted metrics that extend beyond regional tournaments in our assistant. Dokam, not a good one. We're 76 as at 2024, and now we'll now find ourselves, that's the MPFL, now 91 when it comes to global league ranking at this point in time. It's just as if we keep going down. What do you make of the state of the MPFL?
Just like I stated earlier concerning River State, for you to get a different result, you have to do things differently. Nigeria, for the past 3 decades or thereabouts, not really been, since the era of Eyimba and Eyimba, to be particular in the continent, we've not really been deliberate on what we do to ensure that the league improves, and it is a very big problem. We cannot be the giant of Africa, and both the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederation Cup, we go into both of them, and we can't even beyond the group stage. I mean the first or the second round. We don't get into the group stage, so it's a very big problem. And you don't expect teams that don't get beyond the second round. Now you expect the teams to be ranked among the best in the world. Now, over a long time, no team from Nigeria has ever qualified for the group stage of the CAF Champions League. It was just qualified for the second round. And what was their performance? They played 6 matches, they drew 1 and lost 5. Even at home, they were losing as wide as 5-1 margin, which is not supposed to be. So I think we as Nigerians, we as football lovers, those that are managing football, the government, they are not deliberate. They are not concerned about the level of football in Nigeria. It has translated from the league to even the national team. Imagine where Nigeria will be playing. The last time we played in the Nations Cup, we were able to get to the final. We lost. This last time, we got to the semi-finals. These are not what we are supposed to be doing. If we have a good league where players can compete, you understand that it is possible for us to also go into the continent and do it. But because we are not doing well in the continent, these are some of the factors that are factored out when they look at teams and national league performance and when they rate them globally. And even as tiny as Tanzania has a better league than Nigeria. How much is the sponsors putting into the MPFL compared to other leagues? There's no money in the MPFL.
No money.
There's no money. And what what is the level of our academies in the country? Now you find out that academies outside the teams in the league are stronger than the teams in the league have. Some of the teams in the league don't even have academy. You check about our stadia. Most of our stadia are not, in fact, 90% of the stadia in Nigeria are nothing to write home about. So I think the ranking at 91 is not even supposed to be, because we may be ranked higher than countries like Botswana. So have better stadia than us. They may have better stadia than us. So I would say it's a surprise to me, but I think as a Nigerian, we need to go back and sit down and do what will make the league better. If you check the team at the bottom in the league and the team at the top in the league, the difference is no more than 20 points. So that the teams at the bottom, if they win 3 straight or 4 matches, they may climb to even get in the middle in the other half of the league, which is not a good one. If a league is strong, the team at the top and the one, and you see that those teams at the bottom, you see that they will be sometimes they will just have like 10 points or thereabout. But here we are having a team with 46 point topping and the other one with 27 points. What's the difference? The difference is not much. The difference of about 19 points.
Temple, let's look at this. In the last 2-3 years, where a lot of persons were giving Benga and Legbeleye and his board, accolades on how they have improved the Nigerian Premier Football League, how they have taken the league, to another level. But this is the NPFL here, being ranked 91 globally at this point in time. How will you assess Benga and Legbeleye, his leadership so far in the Nigerian Premier Football League? With what we're seeing, will you say he has done well?
Yes, I think that he has done well, and I think that there are areas that needs a key improvement.
If he has truly done well, it means we shouldn't be at 91. If we were not at 91 before he came, why are we in 91 at this point in time?
Okay, I think that first of all, what we look at is the structure. When he came in, he had a template of constantly stabilizing the league. Benga Legbele was very, very loud and very vocal about, the timetable, meeting the demands of the foreign timetables, like the European timetables. That was a key issue, because then we were running an abridged league. Okay, we were not consistent, and we go on a very lengthy break. And so the structure of the league was not coherent, and that was a challenge on its own. So it doesn't matter the rankings, because 3 years ago and now things have really changed. Every year this research body or these ranking bodies, they do a lot of internal evaluations, metrics on how they evaluate, and get to that level. Otherwise they will be sued, because if you do not take your time to consistent or your measurement of the dynamics of rankings, it can be difficult. I'm not surprised why some time ago, even when the Super Eagles were ranked, they play very well, and they are not getting the right rankings. A lot of persons were complaining. But the ranking is ranking. There are coefficients on how these rankings are based or measured. So if the indices, if you do not fall within the parameter of this, it becomes difficult for you to be ranked. Take for example, Benga came that the league was not feasible. Okay, they did their best, try to see how far they can people can visualize the league from anywhere in the world. They brought in this struck a partnership with GTI, Propel and all that, just to see that the league is, created an app that anybody can watch the league. The problem is consistency. See, you can create the beautiful ideas if you do not have the machinery that drives. Benga Legbele board functions under the wings and the capacities of the Nigerian Football Federation. Who sponsors the Nigerian Football Federation? Arguably the National Sports Commission. That's where the budget is derived. So we ask ourselves, because the league is not privatized, because the league is still under the umbrella of government, it functions according to the strength of the government and the focus of the government at every point in time. So if you think that the league is not doing very well, it's because of the machinery that guides it. So there is to draw the blueprints and the implementation plan. Whereas there is no force to push these things. It becomes a challenge. So I think that's why the issue comes. So first off, we have challenges, that bedevils the team, because in the US, the NBA is coordinated by different franchises. The NBA, Adam Silver, who is the commissioner of the NBA, does not manage the affairs. He only manages the affairs of the running of the leagues and the planning and implementation. The franchises pool their strengths and weight together to run the league. And that's why they've been consistent. That's why they're the best basketball league in the world. The English Premier League. Look at clubs are managed not solely by the government, or call them the council or the area council. They are managed by internal bodies who shareholders. Government, even when it's difficult, just look at the English Premier League, owned by government. How many? Do you even know the man who runs the affairs of the English Premier League, the English Premier League board chairman? Do you know? Because the club have a functional style that allows it runs. The FA are even behind the scene, so you don't even get to see them. That's how the league should run. Same thing happens in La Liga, Serie A, in Morocco. It's not like the Morocco FA draws the template for the league. And that's why you see the likes of Raja Casablanca, Buluzaz and all that competing highly. Same in the Nigerian league and all that. Zamalek and some of the big names in the Egyptian league, Al-Ahly and all that, Ismaila, they are all strongly competing because they have a pattern of how the league runs. So I think that Benga and his board have done a little, they can push the league, but the implementation of the league lies solely on the NFF. And because it's been difficult to have internal sponsorship or partnership, that alone has crippled the league. So when you look at the things that happens in the league, the leagues are not rated by the level of the way the internal mechanism. League is rated by how far clubs function at that level. If your club have not qualified, like Doc said, have not qualified for the Champions League for 7 years, and we're getting rankings, now that I've qualified, why do you think that we have not gone far? It's because if you look at the aggregate of the clubs that have qualified, how many of them even get to the level of Rivers United that they qualified to play in the Champions League? How many? Even for Rivers United in the last 4 years, we not really have the chance to produce two slots in the Champions League. Yes. So the performance of the club is the systemic problem that needs to be looked into. And then you ask yourself too, how far is the league set up in terms of viewership? Like I said, Benga has tried. But come on, if the government want to help, the government doesn't need to evolve structural league. South African league was not as good as it was today, the PSL league, until the government came into power and felt that, come on, we need to make this into the television in the world. Why wouldn't we connect our league to it? Today, the South African league has proper visibility. So I think that's an area too that has also affected us. And then the internal mechanism of winning at all costs. A league that want to grow is, you look at it from match index, weekly match performance. Check out the performance. When the league started this season, look at the scoring rate. How far is it? Until recently, do we have it can win anywhere? And that's what the NPFL board have done because of the strict sanction on clubs. Until recently, back then we had a time where the clubs in the play at home, you want to win. Look back at the days of the BBC Lions, First Bank. Just look back how things were done. Even the time of offense. I want to talk about the rights of adjustment and all that. How the league was structured. As compared to what we have, all we have now. So I think then derbies used to be strong. People turn out to go watch. That was when we had league. So what we have now is just a fragmentation of teams coming together just to keep things going. And then the transfer. How are transfer done? Where are the best in the league? Can we even do we even have the best leg in this league anymore? No, we don't. We don't have. And that's why how many foreigners play in our league? Do you know that there's a quota? There's a quota that allows that there is a certain number of foreigners that should play in your league. Check all the clubs in Nigeria. How many foreigners, externally from different countries, come play in our league? How many we even want to come? Can we even pay wages? So the cooperation is poor, and it's poor because it's like a confederal system of government whereby the club controls the powers of the league and not the board.
All right, Doc. In this situation, Temple talked about government.
There's something I will look before you ask your question.
Okay.
There's something as he was just looking at the lapses in the league. I think there's one thing he forgot to mention: a situation where we don't. Although I talked about it, where in the league we don't have these academies. We don't have. There's no progression from the younger ones to the next. You see somebody that is as old enough to sit and wait for younger ones to play, they will not allow that young player to come into the team. Instead, they will prefer that the older men still remain in the league. That's why it becomes very difficult for we to have a direct transfer from the Nigerian league to big clubs in Europe. Instead, it is easier for you to hear that a player moves from beyond limits academy, moves from any of the academies outside the league to Europe directly, than moving directly from the league, because our league is made up of it's like a court. It's made up of certain age bracket of players. For the younger ones to come in becomes an issue. Just check this, and I'm telling you, go to the league and check. So ask your question.
Yeah, for the fact that Temple pointed out that government totally control the league at this point in time, that possibly if there is privatization, maybe of course the league will maybe have an edge from where we're sitting at this point in time. Do you think privatization will be possible in the Nigerian Premier Football League?
Yes, it is something that can be possible. It all depends on the government. It is the government that should be a supervisor.
That's all.
Not a teacher, not someone an examiner. It should be a supervisor. When you refuse to play the supervisory role and decide to become an examiner, it becomes an issue. Because you cannot become an examiner when you didn't teach anything. So you allow those who knows how to teach to examine and set the question, while you stand and look at what they are doing, if they are doing it right or if they are doing it wrong. Where they need help, you give them help. That is what the government needs to do. Check the leagues we have all over the world. Any league that is being controlled by the government, managed by the government, where the majority of the clubs are owned by government, the leagues don't move forward. Check the English Premier League, the Saudi Arabian league that all of us were enjoying today. Who manages the Saudi Arabian league? It is not the government. The Chinese league, at the time, all the players were moving towards China. What was the reason? Because they had a group of investors who had come in and see how they can invest on the league. Who will come to invest in the league? When the politicians, everybody want to sit down and see how much they get from the government and enjoy. It doesn't work that way. Where is the state of Real Madrid Academy? What's the state now?
It's a big question.
So I believe that if the government can remove their hands from league sponsorship or whatsoever and allow the private sector to come in, it can be, they can start with initial PPP, public-private partnership, where the major stake will be on the what do they call it, the private sponsors, while the government will make provision for. Government will totally hand from management. I'm competing with probably team A with Team Temple. Team Temple is owned by Temple, T is owned by Lechi, not a certain government who receives allocation from the federal government and has internally generated revenue that at the end of the day, if I have an issue with the league board, they will just call and the matter will be in my board. Automatically it will work out. So the government should first of all hands off from club management to allow individuals. They should allow corporate companies to manage clubs, and when they manage it as business, just like the man that has this other club, what's this club that did very well last season? Remo Stars. Now Remo Stars did well last season. People look at this small boy. So what is he doing? Let's press him down, and they will press him down. That is what is happening.
They are even at the bottom of the league.
Yes, because they don't have enough resources, and not just the resources, and the power to match what happens in the league. Now, if we go down memory lanes, we had a lot of good clubs. We had anti-insurance professionals of Lagos, we had Niger Doc of Lagos, we had the Abiola Babes of Abeokuta, we had Concord of Abeokuta, we had Ifan Yoba, we had Jasper United of Onisha. We had good clubs there. We are playing good football. When you enter Port Harcourt Civic Center to watch football, Eimba of Aba versus Sharks of Port Harcourt. Sometimes Eimba will come from Aba and beat us at 3-1. But you know that you are watching good football. When the boys from the Savannah boys from Gombe United comes to Port Harcourt to play, all the Abokis in Niger Street and Bender Street will be on the stadium. The stadium will be packed full. Everybody wants to watch. The Lucy Abokis going to greet the players, some of their uncles and brothers. Now, that unison, that thing that we used to have before is no longer there because the government has come in, bringing their power. If you check in Nigeria, everything is being managed by government. Now the question is, these people are the helms of affairs. If we should look at things the way it's supposed to be, are they supposed to be there? No, they're not supposed to be there.
All right, a very serious issue in the Nigerian Premier Football League. The league is not well rated in this point in time. 91 in the global ranking, not a good one. But talking about globally, European competitions, continue to dominate the rankings, accounting for 12 of the top 20 leagues and 29 of the top 50. South America plays 5 leagues in the top 20, while Asia had 2 representatives. The CONCACAF and Oceania regions contributed 1 league each to the upper tier. The English Premier League retained its position as the world highest ranked league for the 6th time since the rankings were introduced in 1991. Spain's La Liga followed in 2nd place with Brazil's Campeonato Brasileiro Serie A ranked 3rd. Italy's Serie A slipped 3 places but remained ahead of Germany down there in the Bundesliga. France Ligue 1 climbed to 6th position, while Portugal Premier League had 7th. Argentina Liga Professional de Football places but stayed ahead of the Netherlands Eredivisie as Colombia's Categoria Premier A rounded out the global top 10. We just got the results, of course, coming from the Nigerian Premier Football League, where Rivers United just beat Barrow FC 1-0. And with courtesy of that victory, they are now top of the Nigerian Premier Football League table. Doc, Finidi the Judge and the title this time, you think he can do it with Rivers United?
I don't think he has already done it. They play 24 matches against others that have played 27 matches, and they've lost just 2 games across, 1 away, 1 at home, across the 24 matches. That means they have about 3 outstanding matches to play, which they are on top, and they are still having 3 outstanding matches. If they are able to win 2 of those outstanding matches, that means they should be about 7 to 8 points. The Nigerian League, the way it is, when somebody is within that gap, it becomes very difficult. If you can just win all their home matches, then you are sure of winning the league, because the league is not as strong as other leagues in the world. I believe Finidi the Judge is going to win the league, but it's not realistic to really measure how much he has achieved. Because if you watch what he did in the continent, you know that at the end of the day, he didn't really try. He went to Power Dynamos. He played away. You played with Power Dynamos 0-0. You came back to you're winning 1-0. All of a sudden, they came from nowhere and you are beaten. The rest of the matches, you couldn't do anything. That means he's just more or less, we should say, he's a local champion. No, that shouldn't be the case. I believe we need a coach who can stand and install.
But is he not one of the best we have in the league now?
You mean Finidi the Judge?
Yes.
Which yardstick are you using to measure his qualities?
Take a look at he has won the league before with Eimba.
How did he win the league with Eimba?
And now he's at Rivers United.
No, if you are talking about if you talk about Eimba, then you are making a mistake. He was employed as an Eimba coach when Eimba were going for the playoff, and from there he just entered and he won through the playoff. We have 4 teams played, I think 6 teams played, and they now came tops. So it's not a yardstick to measure until he wins the league, which he has not won. we
No,
won't
he has
be
won.
safe.
He has won with Enyimba.
He won with
the league
Enyimba,
with
not
Enyimba.
on the league, normal league
Okay.
season. He won during the playoff, during the league, even while he was Enyimba coach. After he won the league, you could check his performance. He wasn't really doing so well. If you check Rivers United, Rivers United has been consistent for some years now. So he came into a system that is already structured, and he's also building on that. I'm not taking any away from his technical know-how or his technical ability, but let us understand that a good coach who understands what he's doing shouldn't be going to the continent. Even if Rivers United should lost out of the continent, shouldn't be a situation where they couldn't win any match if they are playing at you.
Maybe we can also attribute that to the nature of the league as well. Take a look at this. In the past 3 seasons, how many MPFL teams have even done what Rivers United has done?
Fine, you have gotten to. Now, if we are looking at it from that angle, who did Rivers United play to get to that group stage? Who did they play?
Played against, I think
they are playing against lower teams to get to the group stage. If we had opportunity of playing against one of these big teams in Africa, there's no way Rivers United would have qualified. So let's not also look at it from the angle that he qualified us and he played in the group stage. Yes, he played, but who were the oppositions he played? By the time he get to the group stage and he was able to play against a bigger opposition, what happened? He couldn't. He fizzled out.
All right.
Let's not measure his performance based on just
see if Finidi George will win the league this time around with Rivers United. I don't know why so many persons do not rate this Finidi. I don't know. When it was with the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Nigerians, of course, said a lot of things, and now he's about doing something with Rivers United, and some Nigerians still do not really believe in his technical prowess. So leave that for another day.
No. You don't say that. Not some Nigerians. Me in particular, not some Nigerians.
But I think that what he's saying, except those who makes his cow. Finidi George, take a look at all his games he's played since he came back as a coach in Nigeria. And ask us, do you know that even some coaches, Rivers United would have wrapped up this league ago. And so, even last year, when they considered the victory to Remo Stars, it was because of the way they were also playing.
Yes.
So if we had a challenger this season, every other team, no team is at their best. If we had a challenger by now, Nassau United, they have run away with the league.
Of course.
Because they run away with the league. Even a certain Enugu Rangers will run away with the league.
If we had the team that we are consistent as Remo Stars last season,
because this team was struggling to win Barawa FC 1-0.
And watch all their games. They're 1-0,
so
1-1
it would have been difficult. Because if you win 12 games, okay, 12 points, right? But I tell you before now, that they would have been struggling to meet the team at the top.
Yes.
That
was what happened last season.
Exactly.
At the beginning of the league last season, Rivers United we are topping up to a certain point. Before you know, they just fizzled out. That's why they came out second.
Okay, time to talk about the UEFA Champions League. Yesterday we saw some exciting results as Atletico Madrid beats Club Brugge 4-1, and of course qualified to the round of 16. Atletico, of course, also we also saw the likes of Bodo Glimt. They beat Inter Milan away from home as well, 2-1, and that was one of the surprising results we saw over the weekend. It was Newcastle United. They beat Karabag at 3-2 in that particular one. Doc, let me come down to Temple this time around. Temple, what do you make of it? Bodo Glimt, putting up some surprises this time around the UEFA Champions League. What do you make of their run so far in the competition?
Fantastic. I mean, they've shown that middles will always grow. All right. There are teams like Pafos who play for the first time in the league. Yes. This is a Swiss format, so it's different from the usual one where you got to play 6 games and hope that you want to qualify. I think what we have seen this time around is every game looks like a final.
Yes.
And so because it's about point average, you do your best to win your games. They play like a team, and that was why they were able to beat the likes of Manchester City. Atletico Madrid, and also show that come on, they can go away from home and beat Inter. not only we have believed that they will beat Inter, knowing pretty well that Inter can be very tricky when they play at San Siro. But you see, they had the belief that, come on, if we can do it in our home ground, we can travel away from home and still get these people beaten. And that's what we also yesterday. So it's Inter to have a lot of issues, all right, as a league, as the leaders of Syria are. I don't think that they've been very strong when it comes to. Otherwise, look at the way they faltered against the PSG side, in the finals. When you lose scandalously and that margin, it just says that a lot of work is still needed.
Doc, how far do you see Bodo Glimt go in the competition?
Let me just say one thing before I even talk about how far they will go. Now, let's not forget that there's one thing that so many people don't know about Bodo Glimt. The team do recruit directly from some of the smaller leagues in the world. When our own Victor Boniface was playing there, he moved directly from Nigeria to Bodo Glimt. So the team is made up of players who have that hunger to show, so that they could move from the small team to bigger team. So that's just what is happening. And if you have players with such hunger, just like back in those days when we used to have the likes of Ajax of Amsterdam, where Ajax was made up of youth players, the likes of Kano Wanko, Edgar Davies, Patrick Colvert, and the likes of Finidi George. Finidi George moved directly from Los Vegas to Ajax. So presently, if the bigger teams think they can just override them this period, they may outrightly get a very big surprise. So any team that is playing them have to be very careful, because the team is made up of raw talents that are ready to showcase what they have in order for them to move to bigger clubs. Now watch out, after this league, you see the majority of the players that play for them, all of them will move out. Yeah,
definitely. All right, tonight we see Atalanta against Borussia Dortmund. That's one of the fixtures, of course, we'll be expecting tonight in the UEFA Champions League. Juventus against Galatasaray, and we'll see the likes of Paris Saint-Germain against Monaco. It's going to be as well Real Madrid against Benfica, another interesting clash we look at for tonight in the UEFA Champions League. But because of time, we have to call it a wrap at this point on the show. Special thanks to Tempo and Doc for doing justice on the show. You can go down to our different social media handle, Facebook, X, YouTube, and Instagram. The conversation continues right there. My name is Kingsley Manuel. Thanks for watching.
Presents the 2026 Anniversary Celebration Lecture of Morrison Media Group. Theme: Media's role in shaping social change, addressing inequities, and empowering voices. Chairman Alex Ndudi Enebele, FSM, President, Institute of Strategic Management of Nigeria, Chartered. Keynote speaker, Professor Armstrong Idachaba, Professor of Media and Broadcasting Communication. Panelist, Professor Chris Ochonogo, Immediate Past Head of Department, Journalism and Media Studies, University of Port Harcourt. Dr. Ijoma Tobosia, Secretary, NUJ, River State. Dr. Sarah Joe, University Orator and Associate Dean, Faculty of Communication and Media, River State University, Port Harcourt. Dr. Ibiere Koki, Ignatius Aju University of Education, Rumolomini, Port Harcourt. Chief Host, Dr. Chinyere Igwe, Esquire, Chairman, Morrison Group. Date: Tuesday, 10th March 2026. Venue: Gate Place Hotel, Kilometer 5, East West Road, adjacent Obirikwere Flyover, Rumosi, Port Harcourt. Time: 10 a.m. For more information, please call Kainde Paul Obofade 081 063 41777 or Samuel Ajinwo at 090 454 00744. Signed, Management.